Hello, I'm Mac, at least for a day, and everything's going to be okay. Today I'm going to be showing you my new game in Dreams. It's called Escape the Killer's Basement, a text adventure. I'm going to reset my progress real quick. Forgot to do that. I'm going to read the description. It's got a warning. Warning, this game contains strong imagery of murder and self-harm. You've been kidnapped and are now trapped in the basement of a killer. Use the items available to find a way to escape. 7 possible endings. So I will be getting all endings in this video, so if you don't want them spoiled, if you want to do the gameplay, puzzles, figure out the puzzles yourself, go ahead and play the game first before you watch this video, and then you can watch this video to help you get all endings if you have trouble figuring out how to get all of them. But we're going to go ahead and play it. Escape the Killer's Basement. A text adventure. You've seen the news reports of frequent disappearances and bodies found in the river. There may be a killer abducting people in the night, but crazy things like that don't happen to a normal person like you. Or so you thought. One evening, while walking home from work, someone grabs you from behind. They place a chemical-soaked cloth on your face, and you soon lose consciousness. Don't worry, most of the game is not like this. It's not really slow text. You awaken in a dimly lit basement tied to a chair. After wriggling for what seems like an hour, you finally manage to free yourself from your bonds. So yeah, I created this game to have the text adventure aesthetic. Text adventures were like one of the first types of video games that were ever made on the really old computers that didn't have any graphics. They just, were text. And I very briefly played some of them when I was a kid because my dad had a super old computer. So I kind of made these in the same style, but thankfully, because this is Dreams, we can actually have graphics and images and everything in addition to it. Now, you don't type things in like in a text adventure, there's just dialogue choices, but I still made it kind of like that with like having descriptions of what you're looking at and everything. So let's go ahead. You are trapped in a basement. There is a door on one side of the room and items along the 3 remaining walls. There is a chair in the center of the room where you were tied up. What will you do? All right, I'm going to show the first 2 endings first because they're really easy to get. You can get them right at the beginning. Look at the chair, and it says, "This is the chair you were tied to. There is dried blood on the floor leading from the chair to the back wall. What will you do?" Okay. So the first ending you can get by just choosing sit on the chair. There may not be a way to escape. You could just sit and wait for your captor to return and hope they show you mercy. Is that what you want to do? Choose yes. Ending 1. He took my breath away. So obviously that's a bad ending. All of the endings are bad except the true ending. And yeah, just choosing to sit and do nothing obviously results in your death. Alright, now the next ending is also really easy to get. You just take the rope that you were tied with, you take the rope with you, and then use item, and then use the rope. Okay, I want to emphasize that I'm not advocating suicide. You should never kill yourself. There's always something to live for, and this is going to be a bad ending because of that. I'm not saying that it's a good thing to kill yourself. This is definitely not a good thing, but I wanted it to be realistic to what maybe someone in this situation might consider if they're probably going to be killed. You tie the rope into a noose and hang it from the wooden beam on the ceiling. There's no telling what horrible things your captor may do to you. Dying this way might be preferable. Is this what you want to do? Ending 2. Not if I kill me first. So yeah, again, if you are feeling bad, do not hurt yourself. Seek help. I'm definitely not advocating suicide. Everything's going to be okay if you're going through something bad. Things will get better. But anyway, let's move on. Okay, now I'm actually gonna start playing this like someone who hasn't played the game before. I'm just gonna look around at everything and we'll see what we find. So what will you do? Let's look at the door. The door is made of wood, but it is extremely thick and sturdy. It's locked from the other side. What will you do? Use item. I don't have any items yet that I can use on the door. So we'll go back. Now we'll try the right wall. The wall and shelf on the right side of the room display several tools. Are these for business or pleasure? Okay, let's look at the masks. There are grotesque and creepy looking masks on the wall. What kind of demented games does this person play? What will you do? If you try to take the mask, it says you aren't sure how these would be helpful. So these aren't useful for the game. They're just to kind of world build and create the setting. The idea that this is a masked psychopath killer. Now we're going to look at the knives. You see several knives, a cleaver, and other cutting and stabbing implements. They are all very sharp. Okay, I'm going to take a knife. You take one of the kitchen knives. Okay, now we'll go back. Okay, look at the scythe. There is a long curved scythe on the shelf, the kind often used by farmers or the Grim Reaper. What will you do? Take scythe. It is too long and cumbersome for you to wield effectively, so that is also never useful. Okay, let's look at the chainsaw. There is a very large and heavy chainsaw on the shelf. You don't want to think about what it may have been used for. Take chainsaw. The chainsaw is too heavy for you to carry. So it's implied that the player character is a woman, a pretty weak woman that can't carry something as heavy as this chainsaw, or maybe you're a man that screams like a woman. But yeah, you can't carry things that are too heavy for them to use. If you try to start the chainsaw, it says the chainsaw has no gasoline and will not start. Use items, still don't have any items we can use on it, so we'll go back. Now we'll look at the sledgehammer. You find a big and heavy sledgehammer on the shelf. With great effort, you might be able to hold and swing it. Is that what will you do? Take sledgehammer. Straining under the weight, you pick up the sledgehammer and set its head on the floor next to you. Okay, we'll go back. So that's it for what we can do here for now. Now we'll look at the back wall. At the back of the room, there's an old wooden workbench that is caked with dried blood. The smell is sickening. Okay, so all we can do here is take the saw. You find an old saw blade hanging on the wall behind the workbench and take it with you. Okay, back out of there. Now we'll look at the left wall. The left side of the room almost looks like an ordinary basement. There is a wood-burning stove, cardboard boxes, old wooden barrels, and a grandfather clock. So let's look at everything. Look at stove. It is a simple wood-burning stove. You are shocked when you spot a human skull among the ashes. What will you do? Use item. Don't have anything to use on the stove yet either. You can't use every single item that you have on everything like you could in some point-and-click adventures or text adventures. I only put items that would make logical sense to use at that spot. Otherwise, it would take me way too long to make this. So now look at the boxes. What will you do? We can take the closed boxes. The top box is full of family photographs. Many of the family members' faces have been blacked out. Were they killed? What will you do? Take the bottom box. The bottom box contains legal and medical documents. One appears to be a psychiatric evaluation, but it's too faded to read fully. What will you do? Look in the open box. You thought this box was empty, but at the bottom you find a box of matches. Take matches. You take the box of matches with you. Alright, done with those boxes. Now look at the barrels. What will you do? If we try to open the barrels, it says the barrels are closed too tightly to open with your bare hands. Use item. We can try using the knife. You are unsuccessful at prying the barrels open with the knife. Okay, we'll try the sledgehammer. You should be able to smash the lids of the barrels with the sledgehammer. Okay, barrel 1. Ugh, this barrel is filled with rotting guts. The stench is unbearable. Okay, barrel 2. Inside this barrel is a can of gasoline. Take gasoline. You take the can of gasoline with you. Alright, barrel 3. Inside the barrel are bones, and they are, yes, they're human. Alright, barrel 4. A severed human head. It looks fresh. How often did the psycho kill? Alright, now the really tricky part that I put in will be important later is after you've opened all the barrels, a secret option appears. If you go back and back, the look closer option appears. Some people, if they back out too quickly, might not notice the look closer option because it doesn't appear until after you open all the barrels. So that was kind of a sneaky thing I did. You have to literally look closer. You have to look closer at a previous menu in order to notice that option. So look closer. On closer inspection, you notice a pair of bolt cutters behind the barrels. Take bolt cutters. You take the pair of bolt cutters with you. Okay, that's it. That's all you can do at the barrels. Back out. Now we'll look at the clock. The old grandfather clock is silent. It is either broken or not wound up. What will you do? Use item. We can try using the saw. The saw is made for 2 people to use, and you are unable to make much progress sawing through the clock's wood. Okay, matches. On second thought, burning the clock probably wouldn't do you much good. Sledgehammer. Completely smashing the clock with a sledgehammer would not be very helpful, so you decide against it. Alright, now we'll use the knife. You pry the panel on the back of the clock open with the knife. Inside the clock, you try to remove some of the gears and other clockwork, finally managing to remove a spring. You take the spring with you. Alright, that's all we can do here. There's one more item we can use on the clock that we don't have yet, but it also doesn't do anything useful. Okay, let's go back. Alright, now that we've got a bunch of stuff, we're going to try using some of it on the door, see if we can break out. The door is made of wood, but is extremely thick and sturdy. It's locked from the other side. What will you do? Use item. We'll try using the knife. The knife can scratch up the door and knob, but it can't stab through it or unlatch the door lock. Sledgehammer. The sledgehammer is too heavy for you to swing it hard enough to bash down the door or knock off the knob. Saw. The saw is designed for 2 people and you cannot make any progress in sawing the door or the doorknob. Bolt cutters. The bolt cutters cannot open wide enough to cut the doorknob or the door. Right? We'll try the matches. A lit match can't burn through the wooden door on its own. So last of all is gasoline, and that actually does have an effect. You douse the door with the gasoline and much of it runs onto the floor. And now that I've used the gasoline, I can't use it anywhere else. So now I'm locked into certain endings. And so we'll go ahead and get this ending here. So I'm gonna use the matches. Now that the wooden door is doused with gasoline, you could try lighting it with the match and burn through the door and escape. Is that what you want to do? Yes. Ending 5. Playing with fire. So yeah, dousing the door with gasoline and getting gasoline all over the floor and then lighting it wasn't a good idea. You just end up burning to death. Alright, so now it restarts and I don't have any items again. So I'm just going to go straight to some more possible endings instead of exploring, since we already did that. Let's look at the knives. You see several knives. Yeah, we read that. Take the knife. Then we'll go back, go ahead and exit here. Now we'll get the knife ending. If you look at the chair, unuse item, and you can use the knife. You could wait for your captor armed with the knife and throw it at them when they emerge from the door. Is that what you want to do? Yes. Ending 3, Psycho. So yeah, throwing the knife at him, it did hit him in the arm, but he was able to pull it out of his arm and then kill us with it. So that didn't work. Alright, now look at the right wall. Now we'll get the sledgehammer. Take the sledgehammer. And we'll get the hammer ending. Look at the chair. Use item, sledgehammer. You could wait for your captor armed with the sledgehammer and try to fight them off with it. Do you want to do that? Yes. Ending 4, major headache. So yeah, trying to overpower him with weapons isn't working, so we're gonna have to be more cunning if we're going to beat this guy. Okay, so the last bad ending, we'll go ahead and get that. Gotta get the sledgehammer. Take the sledgehammer. This ending's actually pretty easy to get. All you need to get is the gasoline. So we'll go back to the barrels, use item, use the sledgehammer, and open bell 2. And we'll get the gasoline. Alright. And then you go to the chainsaw, of course, because it mentioned that it didn't have gasoline. Chainsaw has no gasoline and will not start. So now we will use the gasoline on it. You pour the gasoline into the chainsaw's fuel tank. Alright, and now we can try to start the chainsaw. The chainsaw now has gasoline. Even though you cannot lift it, you could try starting the saw and see what happens. Is that what you want to do? Yes. The chainsaw begins to run loudly. You hear footsteps outside the door. Your captor must have been alerted by the noise. Ending 6. Chainsaw Massacre. I really like this music. I use different music for all the different endings, and I really like this one that I found. Thank you to whoever made all the songs that I used. So yeah, that also does not work. You cannot just start the chainsaw that you are unable to pick up and expect to beat him with it. He'll just kill you with it. Okay, so now we've gotten all the bad endings. Now it's time to get the true ending. It's fairly complicated to get it. You got to do all the right things. All right, so we're going to get the knife, and we'll get the sledgehammer. All right, that's all we need here for now. All right, and then we need to look at the back wall, get the saw. So we will need it later. Now the left wall. We'll go ahead and go to the clock and use the knife. You pry the panel on the back of the clock and open with the knife. Inside the clock, you try to remove some of the gears and other clockwork, finally managing to remove a spring. So we will need that spring later. Okay, and now let's do the barrels. And again, we have to open all the barrels to get the bolt cutters. So we'll do that. Okay, take the gasoline. Okay, and then I'm going to use the secret option to look closer. Alright, we're done with that. Now we'll look at the boxes. Grab the matches. Take both of the closed boxes. You also need those. Okay, now I'll look at the stove. It is a simple wood-burning stove. You are shocked when you spot a human skull among the ashes. Alright, use item. I can try to use matches. Holding a lit match to the wood does not set it on fire. It needs something more flammable to start. So we'll use the gasoline. You pour the gasoline over the remaining wood in the stove. Alright, now we use the matches. With the gasoline on the wood, the match easily sets the wood in the stove on fire. Now we're going to burn items. Okay, burn the first box, which you don't have to. You don't have to burn box 1, but you can. You burn the box filled with family photographs. Hopefully this will not make your captor angry. Okay, box 2. You burn the box filled with legal and medical documents. Something is left behind that didn't burn. It's a screwdriver. It must have been hidden in the box of papers. Take screwdriver. You take the hot screwdriver out of the stove, being careful not to burn yourself. Okay, and so we're done here. All right, now there's only one more thing we need in order to get the true ending. We need to go back to the chainsaw. We don't have the gasoline anymore, but we can use the screwdriver. You loosen the screws on the outside of the chainsaw. You are unable to completely remove the casing, but you remove the lever from the outside. You can remove the lever. You remove the lever and take it with you. The chainsaw is now inoperable. So you don't even have the option to try to turn on the chainsaw now. You can try to take it again, but still it's too heavy. All right, so now we have everything we need. So now we can look at the floor. You look at the floor in front of the door. What will you do? Okay, you can try to use the bolt cutters, but there is nothing for you to cut. Okay, we'll put the saw down. You set the old saw on the floor. Okay, now I'll set the spring down. You put the spring from the clock on the floor. Okay, now you use the lever from the chainsaw. You place the lever from the chainsaw on the floor. All right, now we can use the bolt cutters. You slowly cut the old saw in half and remove the handles. Okay, so now we've cut the saw in half. All right, and now the option to combine them appears once you've placed all these things. Using the tools at your disposal and the knowledge you gained from high school shop class, you managed to create a makeshift bear trap. Alright, now we can use the bear trap, and this is how you get the true ending. So use the bear trap. You could wait for your captor to emerge from the door and hope that the bear trap stops them. Is that what you want to do? Yes. You run up the stairs and out of the house before the killer can recover. You use a neighbor's phone to call the police who come and arrest the killer. You are soon heralded as the hero who stopped a serial killer with cunning and ingenuity. True ending, brain over brawn. Alright. Congratulations on getting the true ending. I hope you enjoyed my experimental text adventure. If it does well, I will be making more of them that are longer with multiple scenes. Please follow me for those, and also check out my YouTube channel, Mac4Day, where I make videos about dreams. Thanks again for playing. Alright, that was Escape the Killer's Basement, a text adventure. And it's already gotten almost 200 likes, so I'm definitely planning to make more text adventures. I think what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to start making a text adventure for every community jam. Right now, the community jam is the Welcome Garden. You're supposed to use the Welcome Garden art pack that they added with the last update, and so I think I might make a text adventure doing something with that. But yeah, that's it for now. You can play Escape the Killer's Basement if you want, and thank you for watching. So I have been Mac. Thank you for joining me for a day, and remember, everything's going to be okay.